Well, speaking of politicians and alleged dubious qualifications, News 24 today reporting that Eastern Cape Premier Oscar Mabuyane allegedly tried to obtain illegally obtain a PhD, basically, in public administration from the University of Hare. This is apparently emerged from a report compiled by the university, which has been investigating a broad fake qualification scandal or irregular enrollments at the institution. Mabuyane has so far described the claims against him as part of a smear campaign. Let's get the view of the DA Eastern Cape leader, Nqaba Bhanga, who's joining us tonight from Gqeberha, previously known as Port Elizabeth. A very good evening to you, sir. Grateful for your time. Your reaction then to the report by News 24 today?
It's shocking and it's worrying issue that have come to our attention that our premier, the first citizen of the province, is accused of manipulating and also alleged faking qualification. And it's so sad that many of our kids in universities as we speak, they continue to study hard, work in ungodly hours to try and acquire a qualification and with hard work and effort. And today our premier is accused of this gross violation of the Qualifications Act. And if the premier should come up front and explain to the people of South Africa exactly what has happened, we can't wait for this because it undermines the basic reasons why we have to go and be trained for qualification. And it does not provide an exemplary leadership from the first citizen to the employees of the province, that we have a political head who have faked or attempted to fake a qualification. It discredits the office of the premier. Not only that, it undermines these institutions, including the University of Hare, a university that have credibility, a university that have produced presidents, accountants, and many other good South Africans. And then this university today, through manipulation or through a corrupt means, have been undermined. And I'm happy that the university have acted in this regard, because it shows a commitment for the university to clean.
And these claims, as you say, come from an investigation conducted by Hare University, because it's believed this is a broad-based problem at the institution, and many of the beneficiaries are political leaders in the Eastern Cape province. When you look at the report by News 24, for example, they say the document which they've seen reveals that Mabuyane tried to fake his way into a PhD program, this for public administration, with the help of a now tainted and suspended Hare University professor, and that he had a team of ghostwriters. Mabuyane says, based on comment given to the publication, that he very well may have to take this report on appeal or challenge it, take it on review, pardon me, if necessary. If indeed what we are reading today is true, what should be the consequences for the premier?
There are serious consequences in an action like this. A person can be fined or a person can be arrested for a period of 5 years. It's not a minor issue. And if really the premier, not only the premier, including the ministers that are accused of this, and any other person who've been part of this situation, there should be at least consequences and accountability. It is for that reason that I am going to write necessary questions to the premier for him to account on this allegation, because it's a serious allegation. It does not send a good example for the institutions of government and also for our kids. I want to emphasize this for our kids, because our kids are going to start not to value the issue of staying at university and studying hard. And it undermines that effort, that education is something that you should go through, trained, and go through a process. Right. It undermines that. Therefore, the premier has to account, and we are going to make sure that as a Democratic Alliance that the premier accounts. And we are happy that the University of Hare has taken action.
How will you do that?
Any other individual.
How will the DA, pardon me, sir, how will you as the DA in the province ensure that the premier accounts? How would you do that?
Firstly, I'm writing questions to the premier tomorrow for him to first account on the allegations that have been tabled. Two, we are going to write to relevant institutions. The SIU is busy with this, the Hawks, including the president, to ask him on what action is going to take on individuals in his cabinet and also who are coming from the Eastern Cape, who continue to serve in his cabinet with these big allegations without action. Because also the president himself, we must knock in his door for him to take responsibility. This is bad for Mandela. This is bad for Nyoma. This is bad for Buthelezi who studied there. This is bad for the reputation of the student who qualify from this university. This university has been undermined as an institution, and public institution and private institution might start to question any other innocent individual who come with a qualification from Forte. But I'm encouraged with the fact that it's the university itself that started to act. And for them to act, they're taking responsibility and trying to single out these individuals who have tainted the university and who are behind the university's effort. And we believe and want to make a call to all people that they must not judge everybody who comes from that university. Great people came from that university. But there are few culprits who have tampered with the system and abused it.
How much bigger, though, could this scandal be? Because when you look at alleged fake qualifications or dodgy enrollments at the Forte University, some of the names that have come up include the Public Service and Administration Minister, Nqaba Bhanga, who is said to have obtained 2 degrees from there in a very questionable manner. She has denied that. The Premier, Oscar Mabuyane, denies that as well. The former Health MEC, Cindy Swakgomba's name also came up in all of this. So do you think this is but a tip of the iceberg?
This is big because it can also affect the legislature itself. The legislature's got a program that have allowed members of parliament to go and study at University of Forte. And it looks like the scheme has been even bigger than the institution, but also include the programs that are done at the University of Forte. And there are a lot of people who have gone through certain programs, and we have to investigate whether or not the provincial legislature in the Eastern Cape and the people who have qualified through some of these programs, whether they were not involved. I think a lot of people are going to come out of this scandal, exposing the shenanigans that is going to affect, unfortunately, the ruling party. I think this is going to bruise the ruling party. It's going to test the president himself, whether or not he's capable or is willing to act on this, because this is undermining higher education institutions in South Africa, which can even tamper with our recognition international and the trust that international institutions would have in higher education sector in South Africa through this one element. 3 months back, I was dealing with a city manager that did not have a matric, but he had a doctorate and a master's from the then University of Vista, which was also fake. Therefore, we need to do a robust investigation of qualifications, in particular of people in the executive who want to rush their qualification and be doctors without qualification. And the ANC, unfortunately, have been exposed in this regard, and the government and the president have failed to show leadership. They have been quiet on this issue. The ANC have been quiet on this issue, but until our leaders are able to make the members of the executive to account, we can only be able to change South Africa. And it's becoming bad. And if we get into this level, South Africa, a status in the world, in particular in higher education, is going to be questioned. But again, I must reiterate that not everybody who went through the University of Forte have trade qualification.
Right.
It's a few rotten potatoes, in particular, who come from the executive and the legislature, that we must investigate.
Mr. Nqaba Bhanga, thank you so much for your time tonight. The DA's leader in the Eastern Cape, speaking to us on the latest reports by News 24 that the Premier there, Oscar Mabuyane, was enrolled or tried to enroll fraudulently for a PhD program at Forte University.